Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, The 5 Critical Mistakes MSPs Make with Their Marketing. I'm Sarah Duffy, Marketing Manager here at Intronis, and I'm happy to be moderating today's webinar. Today, I am joined by Stuart Crawford, CEO of Eulistic, a company dedicated to coaching U.S. and Canadian IT service providers to greater success. During today's webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them in the questions or chat panel to the right of your GoToWebinar screen. We will be answering all your questions at the end of the webinar. At the conclusion of the webinar, if you have any questions, at the conclusion of the webinar, you will be prompted to complete a brief survey. Please take a moment to tell us what you think as we continuously improve the content and quality of our online events. Now, without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to Stuart. Take it away, Stuart.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. Welcome, everyone. As Sarah mentioned, my name is Stuart Crawford, and I have the honor and privilege to be the CEO of Eulistic. We are based in Buffalo, New York. We have a Canadian office in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And as Sarah mentioned, we provide marketing services, or we're a marketing agency for managed IT service organizations who are committed to their success and to their own growth as an organization. We provide a full range of services, which I'll get into throughout today's webinar. Everything from online marketing services right through to the more traditional marketing services you would been seen around for a long time. When I was putting together the talk for today, I wanted to focus on 5 areas that I see many MSPs or IT service organizations overlook, or I don't want to say fail to identify, but really they are critical errors or mistakes that they're making with their marketing and wondering why their marketing is not generating the results that they hope for or they anticipated. I've had conversations as early as just a couple hours ago today where expectations from marketing are not necessarily aligned with the reality of today's world. It is a very competitive world that managed service providers have to play in every day, and your job is to get ahead of the curve. But how do you necessarily go about doing that? So my challenge for many of you through today's webinar and after today's webinar is, are you ready to make that investment in time and money to ensure your marketing is the best, most effective, and creates a steady flow of net new business opportunities? And when I say net new business opportunities, I'm not necessarily saying new leads of companies that are hearing about you for the first time. Yes, that is part of our marketing agenda, but a net new business opportunity can also include business opportunities from folks that you already do work with today, aka your existing client base. Most of us get hung up in trying to go after that big new fish, and we forget that we have all these smaller little fish swimming around us who are constantly feeding off of us. And all we got to do sometimes is offer them something new, and they will buy that additional service for us. So my challenge to many of you today, and I know not all of you are going to be ready for this, and for those who know me, know I speak my mind very openly. There's a high number of you on today's call, but such a small percentage of you will actually take what the time that is required to do marketing effectively, but also make the financial investment that is needed to ensure that marketing is the best that it can be, the most effective, and creates those steady flow of net new business opportunities. I know you all say you want to, but when the rubber hits the road, that is not often the case. So who am I? Why should you even care who I am? But I have done what you want to do. I left a steady job in the Canadian military in 1997 and started my journey to where I am today by working for an IT service organization, went to work for a software company, went back to another consulting agency, and then branched out on my own and built a company from 3 guys fixing computers in 2001 to a $5.5 million MSP with 34 employees in 2008. So in 7 short years, we built a company to $5.5 million in annual gross revenue. And so I've done everything that you want to do. Maybe for some bigger companies out there, not the full range, but for many of the smaller MSPs, I have walked the mile in your shoes. I know the pain that many of you go through each day trying to make a dollar out there in a very competitive world. I once was a pocket protector tech geek. I used to install NT351 and network servers in my basement. But really, what I realized, folks? None of that technical stuff really mattered. It wasn't making me any money. Yeah, sure, we were getting a few clients here and there, but it really wasn't making any real money until I realized in 2004 I needed to stop being a tech and focus on being a marketing professional and sales professional. So I had to start building my empire. I built a company called IT Matters in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you still go to itmatters.ca, I think it still forwards to the company that bought us in 2008. But I needed really to start building my empire and start becoming a marketing company that happened to sell and market IT services. I'll get to that in a second. But in 2004, I made that switch from being a tech person to being a marketing and sales professional. And I stopped building NT351 and NT4 and Netware 441 and whatever else was available at that time in 2004. I stopped working on those things in my basement. And in 2004, I started attending business-to-business sessions, learning everything I possibly could learn about marketing, learning everything I possibly learned about sales, hooking up with the right people, sometimes leeching off these people, and getting as much information as I possibly can. I remember vividly going to SMB Nation in 2004 with Harry Brailsford at the Microsoft Redmond campus and hearing a young lady by the name of Robin Robbins speak about marketing. And that's when I realized that I needed to become a marketing professional and really start building my company. And we had a huge growth in 2004, almost $1 million in top line revenue from things that I learned by listening to folks like Robin Robbins, joining Heartland Technology peer groups, joining Tech Select and becoming part of the Tech Data community, and a bunch of other things. But it was this gentleman here by the name of T. Harv Eker who I learned a very valuable lesson from. I went to a marketing, remember I was going to marketing and sales conferences now all the time. I wasn't going to IT Nation. I wasn't going to, ASCII events. I wasn't going to MSP community events. I was going to Harv Eker's events in Southern California and spending 4 days in a marketing conference, learning everything I possibly could about marketing. And from the 4 days I spent in Orange County, California at the Hilton Hotel, some of you may know where that is, I learned from Harv Eker that my company had to become a marketing and sales organization first. We were no longer a technology company. We became a marketing and sales organization that just happened to market and sell information technology consulting or managed services. Everything we did was marketing and sales first, technology second. If we wanted to hook up with Microsoft and do some sort of Microsoft technology campaign, the first filter we ran it through was the marketing and sales filter. Everything that we did was focused on marketing and sales. How do we market our business, and how do we sell the solutions, and then what we sold was next in line. And then I hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Carl Bryan. Now, Carl was a local guy in Calgary at the time, still a very good friend of mine today. I chat with him at least once a week. And he was an Aussie Canadian wannabe. So he was this Canadian guy that had this kind of phony Australian accent. Loved him to bits. Great guy. You know, he taught me this lesson. He said, Stuart, he sat me down one time. It was a morning breakfast. I remember because I used to go up and attend every marketing and sales event I went to. I went to Carl's breakfast at the in the Calgary. What was the hotel? The PC CP Rail Hotel in Calgary. It escapes me right now. But I was sitting in a room there, and Carl says, "You're going to make more money being different than trying to be better than your competitors." So again, the marketing and sales guy in me took it away and said, "How do I make our company different? What do we do? Because you guys are all the same. You all have a patch management system. You all either run LabTech, Continuum. You either sell one flavor backup and disaster recovery. I hope it's an Intronus one. But you have some sort of play in business continuity. You have your monitoring tools. You either run ConnectWise or ConnectWise or Autotask or TigerPaw or some other system. So that way, you're not really unique. But what makes you unique?" So I sat down with my team and said, what makes us different than all of our competitors? And at that day, we invested heavily in understanding the oil and gas industry, because that was one of the industries that we were specialized in. So we would send engineers to oil and gas training, not technology training, so they can learn everything they possibly can about the engine, about how oil and gas systems work. And that made us different than our competitors, because the competitors were focusing on NT4, Windows 2000 servers, maybe Windows 2003 was out at that time, and we were focusing on what a pig is. And some of you are like, "Pig? What is that?" Well, don't laugh. A pig is a device that they stick down a pipeline, in a gas pipeline, to get it unstuck. So when the gas doesn't flow, they shoot this pig down the pipe to kind of clean out the pipeline. We learned what those things are, as well as understanding a Windows 2003 small business server and all these other things. So that made us different. So when I was sitting down with engineers and geophysicists and landmen and presidents and CEOs of oil companies, we were speaking the same language as our clients were. On our website, we talked the same language. We, again, remember, we're a marketing and sales organization that happened to sell. Now we're a marketing and sales organization that happen to market and sell IT solutions to the oil and gas industry. We are no longer an IT service company that sold and marketed IT services to accounting firms or to law firms. We are one industry only, and we are pretty good at what we did. There were 750 oil and gas companies in Calgary at the time. We had about 40% of the marketplace. So we were doing pretty good. We became a marketing and sales machine. Everything we did was marketing and sales. We were getting leads to our website. We were generating leads from our canvassing. We were generating leads from our telemarketing. We were getting referrals from existing clients. We were getting referrals from people we didn't even know. I would get phone calls, honest folks, phone calls in my office. "Hey, Stuart, this is Joe Smith. I got your name from Fred Jones, who met you at the Chamber of Commerce, and said that you guys were the guys to use." And I would hang up the phone and go, "Who the heck was Fred Jones?" I had no idea who Fred Jones was, but he was referring business to us. That's what happens when you become a marketing and sales focused organization. People start coming to you, and we grew and grew and grew, and we were making gobs and gobs of money. We were doing pretty good. I had some other personal issues back then. The money started corrupting me a little bit, and I was losing my focus on what really mattered in life. And that's when I sold the company and started getting back into the business of service and working with guys like you. But we were doing pretty good back then. And then last week, I was speaking with Raj Goel. I don't know if anybody knows Raj Goel from BrainLink in New York City. Raj, and I are talking like a normally weekly consulting call that I do with him, and Raj shared this, what he learned. He said, it's marketing's job to give the sales team an excuse to call prospects and clients. And I went, wow, that's great. So because many of you are thinking, it's marketing's job to get leads. No, it's marketing's job to give the sales team an excuse to call prospects and clients. Plain and simple. We're running a webinar. We put some marketing out at the webinar. It's a sales team's job to follow up behind that. We do a direct mail. It's a sales team's job to follow up behind the direct mail. We're running an event at Morton Steakhouse. It's a sales team's job to follow up on that event. We run a promotion on free 90 days of business continuity. It's a sales team's job to follow up on that. So marketing's job in any given managed service provider business is to give the sales team an excuse to call prospects and clients. Plain and simple. I love that way Raj put it. But why does all this matter? This is Tim Richter. Tim runs a MSP business in Raleigh, North Carolina, drinks the holistic Kool-Aid like crazy. I wish I could take all the credit for his success, but he does all the hard work. He's in the first 7 weeks of 2017, he's already closed over $60,000 in new MRR working with my support team at Holistic. The standard disclaimer goes in here, folks, like you see it on any lawyer's commercial or financial advisor. Your results will vary. This is not typical results kind of stuff. But, if you do the hard work and cover the stuff that we're going to cover today, I'm pretty confident you can at least get half of this. Congrats, Tim. You did a great job. So let's get down to business, okay? What are the top 5 mistakes MSPs make with their marketing? And don't worry, there's more than 5. I just want to focus on 5 today. There's literally like thousands, okay? There's just not enough time to go through every single one today. So I'm going to hit on 5 key ones that I think are very, very important that you all can take and start running with right when this webinar is done. Like, folks, honestly, there's no excuse. There's always going to be service tickets. There's always going to be computers to fix. There's always going to be angry clients to take care of. There's always going to be this. There's always going to be that. There's always going to be some lousy excuse that you will come up with why you do not do your marketing. Some of you will say, well, I'm not comfortable doing it. Some of you are going to say it's a little out of my comfort zone. Some of you are going to say I'm not sure where to start. Some of you are going to say this, and some of you are going to say that. But you know what? There's no excuse. You're all here. There's many of you guys on this call today, and you're all here to learn something about how to do marketing effectively. So there's no excuses why you cannot take these 5 very basic strategies and run with them the minute this webinar finishes. So again, I'm puzzled. You all want more business. Many of you call me on the phone and say, Stuart, I want a marketing service. I need to get more business. But when it comes down to doing the hard work, it's crickets. I don't hear anything. Or again, like I said, it's one excuse after the other why it doesn't get done. So you're all guilty. You don't invest properly. You don't invest properly in marketing and sales. If you fail to put the marketing effort in, or fail to put marketing first, you don't do the sales operations. I talk about every day. I gave a client the other day 29 leads that we generated, and I gave them to him. I gave him on an Excel spreadsheet and said, "Here, there's 29 leads." Do you think he made one phone call? No. Do you think he dropped one piece of something in the mail? Nope. He didn't do the work. And when the you-know-what hits the ventilation device, marketing is always the first thing to get cut in your business. And many of you will quit too early. So let's say mistake number 1. There's no strategy. There's simply no plan. You don't have a daily marketing plan. You don't have a weekly marketing plan, monthly, quarterly, annually, or long term. You have no plan of what you want to do. And some of you will do what I call marketing by accident. And that's when Sarah at Intronis has gobs of money to invest in partner marketing. And so she calls you on the phone and says, hey, I got $1,000. Let's go put on a lunch and learn. And you say, great, let's go do it, Sarah. And you run off and do this lunch and learn, and then you don't do anything for months afterwards. When I was running my managed service business, it was not like this. Well, I was up until 2004. Post 2004, it was a complete different story. I would have, and again, these are things that you can write down and start executing on again right away. I said, all this stuff I'm going to show you, you can start doing like the minute this webinar is finished, you can do all this stuff. So what I would do every part of my marketing strategy was I would sit down with all my key vendors. So Intronis wasn't around back then, or they would have been invited to the table. And I would have a weekly report that I would send to all my vendors with everything that I have on the go sales-wise. And then every month I would have a phone call with my partner account manager one-on-one just to check in, see how things are going, what I needed to do, and then what they had going on and stuff like that. I would build a relationship with my partner account manager. Many of my partner account managers I worked with back in the 2000s are still friends of mine today. And then quarterly, I would have an all hands on deck call. I would invite all my key partner managers on, and I would have a quarterly call and discuss, where we're going, what we're doing, how's the pipeline looking, what I would like to do. We did it on a call one time. I had my telecom partner, Paul Moffat, who ran at the time. He runs a company called DC Tel now in Vancouver. But back then he had a company in Calgary, and we were good friends, and still a good friend today. And Paul was on the call as my local telecom provider. Paul was a ShortTel partner, and I had my SonicWall rep on the phone, and I was at SonicWall Peak Performance just before I had this call, and I found out that SonicWall and ShortTel were playing nice together at the corporate level. So I got everybody in the call and said, okay, here's what I want to do. Paul, you're a ShortTel partner. Mark, you're the SonicWall rep. Let's put on an event in Calgary, the Chamber of Commerce, and have a ShortTel SonicWall event and talk about VoIP and all this stuff. And it worked out really well. We got it pulled together. But I found out that everybody started working together. Tech Data wanted in on it. Other people wanted in on it. So we started putting together this plan. But very basic, folks, is have a long-term plan. Where do you see your company in 5 years? And then step back and say, annually, this is what I want to do. And then quarterly, you can break those into more actionable items, monthly into more actionable items, weekly into tactical action items. And then what do you have to do every single day? What business-to-business events are you going to attend? What trade shows are you going to attend? What speaking engagements are available out there? How many webinars you want to do? And all this stuff, and build it into your strategy. So mistake number one that most MSPs make is they don't have a plan or a strategy in place. And then going on with the plan, the strategy, there's no tracking to see what's working. Yeah, sure, some of you guys watch your Google Analytics and say, hey, we're getting all this traffic to our website, but what's working, what's not, how do you know what's working, where's the proof, and track everything. So when I say track everything, that's right down to unique email addresses for campaigns, unique landing pages for campaigns, unique phone numbers for campaigns, everything. Finding out what works and what doesn't, and then fix the stuff that doesn't work. But you don't know what works and what doesn't work when you don't track the results. You need to report on everything from website visitors to inbound telephone calls to emails coming into your sales emails and your info emails. You need to track all that stuff so you can make educated, informed decisions on what's working, what's not. And then mistake number three, there's no sales operations following up the marketing. So like I said earlier, what Raj Goel shared with me, there's simply no sales operation. It's basically just a throw whatever you can against the wall and see what sticks. Or let's send out 500 postcards and see if we get anybody calling the phone and, calling us up on the phone and seeing if they can, in responding to the postcard. Remember, marketing's job is to give the excuse to sales operations to connect with a client or a prospect and have a conversation with them. And there's more, but that's one of the primary goals. The other one you can hear sometimes is marketing's job is to create the buzz and sales is to fulfill the buzz. So, but conducting sales operations, like picking up the phone and calling people, I love, and one of Tim Richter's claims to fame for success, and a few other guys I know, is actually canvassing. And I used to do that in my MSP days too. I've been thrown out of more high-rise office buildings than I care to mention. But did that deter me? Did that stop me? Heck no. I made me more hungry to go and do more. But I literally used to walk door to door handing out information about our MSP business. I was an owner of a company. I was a director. I was the vice president of marketing and sales. Was I above that? No, I did it, folks. I got off and did it. I did the work. And that's that's another thing is, a lot of us are afraid to do the hard work. We may say we're not afraid to do it, but sometimes we are. So mistake number 3 that most managed service providers make is they're not conducting sales operations after the marketing is gone out and started. And then mistake number 4, remember I told you, these are all easy things. We can go much deeper than this. Number 4 is we don't create any relationships. No B2B networking. And if we do, we just go like B&I and Chamber of Commerce, and we stand up and say, hi, I'm Stuart, and I run an IT service company, and a good lead for me this week is this. But what do you do with the people that are in that room after the meeting's done? Most of us scurry off and go do our own thing and don't connect with people. We don't have any media and public relations at all to speak of. When was the last time you sent anything to the media? Most of my clients sent out a thing last Thursday for National Innovation Day. And you know that this Thursday is National Digital Training Day. What a great reason, what a great time just to get something out there to the media. None of us do any speaking at all. Like maybe you do a webinar like this every once in a while, but rarely do we, speak at a Rotary Club or a real estate convention or anything like that. We don't do any exhibiting except for maybe the odd trade show here and there because, it fell into our laps. Most of you are definitely not doing any canvassing and building relationships through canvassing. And a lot of us don't have great vendors or partner relationships where we treat our vendors and our partners like people versus just another vendor. Our best client relationships are for Eulistic are with clients that see us as an extension of their team, not just another vendor. And then mistake number 5 is we don't adjust based on what information we have. I think I mentioned in 1997 I retired from the Canadian military at the ripe old age of 27. I did 4 years with the artillery regiment in Western Canada. Really loved it. It was probably the best 4 years of my life. And, one of the things I learned working with the artillery is that rarely does the round land on the target on the first shot. It sometimes takes numerous shots for the artillery guys to hit their target. But what are they doing? They fire one round down range. An officer in the front adjusts the fire of the gun, right a couple hundred meters, left a couple hundred meters, forward or backwards, and then they fire again and make sure they're landing on that target. Well, that's what we have to do with our marketing and sales as well. Is we got to take all the intelligence we have and adjust fire. That could be going to a chamber of commerce event and not walking out of there with 2 or 3 good relationships to expand on. So what do you have to do differently? Maybe you have to stop being so introverted. Maybe you learn that and say, you know what, next time I go, I got to talk to 3 people. Or, you know, that website campaign really didn't work, so maybe I have to do something different. Or that postcard campaign failed to hit the mark. Why did it fail to hit the mark? And be honest with you and adjust fire on it. So knowing all these, 5 very basic mistakes that most managed service providers make in the marketing, you need a plan. So sit down and start building a marketing plan. And if you don't know where to turn to, there's all kinds of resources online. There's all kinds of people you can hook onto and learn from, and learn. Just absorb as much information as you can. But take that first step. What I learned is that first step was the hardest step for me to take. Stepping off of that curb and crossing the road. My journey from being a tech to a sales and marketing person was not easy. I had clients calling me and saying, Stuart, can you just come out and fix this for me? And I had to say no. I said, trust my team. They were more than willing to take care of this for you. And eventually it came to the point when I would show up at a client and they would say, hey, what are you here to sell me today? Okay, so, you got to take that first step. And then measure everything. Measure every single thing that you do. Most professional football teams rarely get a first down on 1st and 10. But sometimes they take the measure and see how much further they have to go. Same thing with you. You have to measure everything that you do. And then get off your butt. You have to push back from your desk, get up out of your chair, and go meet people, go to networking events, go to conferences, go to where your target market is. You got to get up and never give up, because most of us quit just before we start really getting the fruits of our hard work. And then be creative. Do something different, just like what Carl Bryan taught me. We have to do things differently. You just can't expect to do the same thing and expect different results from your competitors. You have to do something differently. And maybe that's an area of specialization. Maybe that's a service offering. Maybe it's a mindset in how you run your company. But you have to do something different and be creative. Like I said, do something different. Sometimes you have to leap out of that crowded bowl into your own bowl. And if you're stuck, which I can guarantee every single one of you are going to be stuck at some time in your career, you need to realize that there's people out there who can help you. There are organizations like mine who specialize in what we do, and there's all kinds of resources out there online, just like I did back in 2004, to get you started. Remember, I was a tech and I became a marketing and sales person. So if you're not sure what to do with all this information that I gave you, find somebody who can help you. But you have to do something. You have to do something. You have to take that first step today. You could no longer afford to sit back and wait. You've got to take action. Your success of your business relies on it. And this is where we're here to help. We are a professional marketing agency that works with the best managed service companies in North America and Australia. Is every business out there right for realistic? No way, not a chance. But there are companies out there with the right mindset that want to grow or are on their path to growth and stuck. And this is where we can help. If that's you, we're more than willing to have a conversation with you and see, what we can do to help get your marketing kickstarted. And the other thing that we offer, we take a lot of that heavy lifting off of your plate. So you don't have to worry about doing a lot of the grunt work. You can get out there and do all the stuff that you enjoy doing and leaving the hard work to us. And does that mean passing off the responsibility? No. Our worst client relationships are the ones where the client just says, "Oh, that's your listings problem now." No, we go to battle together, folks. We work together. We go out there as part of your team, and everybody has a stake in the success of this. So if you're inspired and want to work with a company like ours, I'd be more than willing to have a conversation with you. Sarah, I'm going to flip it back over to you. This has been a real slice. I get this every single time I have a chance to address, partners at Intronis and those future partners that you guys are looking for. So we'll see if there's any questions.
Great. Thanks, Stuart. Great webinar as well. We do have a few minutes here for questions and answers. If you do have any questions, you could submit them in the questions or chat panel to the right of the GoToWebinar screen. Stuart, we do have a few questions rolling in here. The first question is, how much time or resources do you need to allocate for marketing?
Well, that's a kind of loaded question, because remember I said earlier in 2004 I had to stop being a tech and start focusing on marketing and sales. So what that meant for me was 8 hours a day, solid 8-hour full workday, marketing and sales only. Now, if you don't have that luxury, while you're out there hiring technicians to do the technical work for you, so you can make that transition over to marketing and sales, you want to spend every possible moment you have between technical work and other duties doing marketing and sales. So there is no time formula, Sarah, other than as much time as humanly possible, because again, your focus of your company needs to become marketing and sales first, everything else second.
Great. So another question we have here is, what if I don't have the technical abilities to do a lot of the work? How would you get started in this business?
Well, I think technical ability impairs people from taking the first step in marketing. As I mentioned in my slides earlier, there are companies out there like mine. Pronto Marketing is another one that comes to mind. People like Robin Robbins comes to mind. There's a wealth of people out there who can teach you the technical side of things, but the technical ability impairs people from taking the steps. I don't think there's very much technical that needs to go on about going to a networking event like at a Chamber of Commerce and having a conversation with somebody. I think we use that as an excuse a lot of the times to not go and do it. But I don't think it takes a lot of technical ability to make that call. I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't do their own telemarketing is because they use the technical ability as an excuse not to pick up the phone and have a conversation. Are you going to get it right the first time? No way. You're going to mix up your words. You're going to say the wrong thing, and you're going to feel like a fool. But I can guarantee you, the minute that person hangs up the phone at the other end, you're the last thing on their mind. So, you know what? Another thing I didn't even mention in this webinar, Sarah, is that if you don't ask, you don't get. So sometimes just by making the effort and being authentic and being true, sometimes that's just enough to get through to have a conversation with people. But I will never let anybody use technical ability as an excuse not to do the work.
Great. Well, thank you, Stuart. The webinar has been recorded, and I will be sure to send it out to all those that registered within 24 hours. So you'd be on the lookout for that. And Stuart, I want to thank you again for the time you spent today with everyone going over some great marketing tips.
Well, Sarah, it's a real pleasure to have the ability to do this today. And you guys are a great company in Intronis and a great partner of ours at Ulistic. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Stuart, and everyone have a great day.